Okay, now you can hear me, right? All right, sorry about that. I did not have my audio turned on. Apologies. All right, so just in case you missed it, tonight on News Channel 6, we talked about storm anxiety. This is something don't so if you're watching me, don't go away. Especially if you suffer from storm anxiety, I got some really good stuff here. I interviewed a couple of girls. I think they were maybe fourth fifth graders at Jacksboro Elementary, and they were in a tornado last year, the same one that hit that area down there. Um, and they were never scared of weather at all until they were in the tornado, and now they have PTSD every time it thunders outside. They're real animated, and I talked to them. I talked to their dad about what they try to do to help calm the girl. He said there's really not a lot to do, but there are some things to do. Katie Lister, who is a psychiatrist, she's actually a nurse practitioner for a local psychiatrist here in Wichita Falls. She actually is the lady who does the pet segment with us, but she is very smart when it comes to these things, and she gave some great advice. And we switched gears as well, and we talked to Sophie, or Sophie's mom, rather, not the dog herself, but her mom, about storm anxiety, because her pet Sophie, really struggles from it a lot, and she winds up in the refrigerator. She winds up doing things like that and hiding in small places. So we talked to her, and I talked to Ross Thompson, who is a veterinarian at Simmons and Harlan here in Wichita Falls, and he kind of gave some advice on what to do if your pets suffer from this. All right, so without further ado, let's go with it, and let's take a look at my piece I did on storm anxiety. Hopefully you can hear this. Hopefully there won't be any issues. So let's see what happens. What was going through your mind as this tornado was hitting your school?
When you think we're gonna make it? My friend Kennedy said, "Jesus, I love you, but I don't want to meet you today."
It was so funny, and I told her, I said, Kennedy, be quiet.
Avery and Jillian McCrory were never really scared of bad weather until March 21st, 2022. That three tornadoes slammed into their elementary school in Jacksboro, Texas.
And then we hear the bang, which we now know was the gym wall. And then it really starts.
So what's going on?
Crying, screaming.
We were next to a door, and our doors have windows, and we didn't know what was happening, so we looked out the window of that room, and the tornado was in that room. So we just looked through the window, and we could see a tornado in our classroom.
Ever since that Monday afternoon in March,
Awful. We don't sleep. We have a thing that goes off. So we'll be in our room, on the other side of the house, and then when we hear that beep noise where it says a bad weather advisory or a tornado, this alert warning, not an actual thing, we just sprint out of our rooms, and we have loft beds, so I jump off my loft bed and sprint into my parents' room.
the girl out of Westminster says he always monitored the weather in North Texas, but says the tornado has really changed things around their home.
So before the tornado, totally, I just would sleep through any thunderstorm, no big deal. And now, for thunder, we're going to get a visitor.
The girls are experiencing is called storm anxiety, or a fear of bad weather. Katie Lister, who is a nurse practitioner for a local psychiatrist, says this type of anxiety is like what a soldier experiences after coming home from the battlefield.
Similar things can happen with weather. That they experienced something horrible before, and when the weather starts looking like or sounding like something they'd experienced before, it can really just go, their brains go right back to that. The anxiety response is just right there.
People aren't alone. Many people and
What was going through your mind as this was hitting your school?
When you think we're gonna make it? My friend Kennedy said, "Jesus, I love you, but I don't want to meet you today."
It was so funny, and I told her, I said, Kennedy, be quiet.
Avery and Jillian McCrory were never really scared of bad weather until March 1st, 2022. The F3 tornadoes slammed into their elementary school in Jacksboro, Texas.
And we hear the bang, which we now know was the gym wall. And then it really
So as it really starts, what's going on?
Crying, screaming.
we were next door, and our doors have windows,
Mhm.
and we didn't know what was happening. So we looked at the window of the room, and like was
All right. Well, apparently sound was real bad, and I don't know why. I think it's just this old computer I'm using here is why. So, what I'll do is I'm going to post this on my page here, the actual video, so you can just go back and watch it. And I don't know why that was so staticky. There's no reason that it shouldn't have been, that it should have been, but it's most likely this old computer that I'm using that probably caused that. So, and eventually I will replace this computer. So, it just frustrates me so much because I put a lot of time and a lot of effort into that. It can't even the audio is bad on here. It could be this Streamlabs, I don't know. But anyway, I promise you, this is year number 1 of me doing this kind of stuff here on this particular computer. It will get better in time. All right, so what I want to do now is I want to take the time to try to answer some of your questions. So if you did get a chance to see it tonight at 6 o'clock on News Channel 6, and again, I'm going to post the actual video here on my page so you can see it and go back and watch it. There shouldn't be any audio issues with that. So yeah, it was a good video. There just been some. My wife also texted me and said sound was bad too with that, so I do apologize. But to kind of sum up what they were talking about, the girls were talking about. They were in the tornado in Jacksboro when the tornado hit. They were at the school. It hits. They were terrified. Their friends were terrified. They heard the gym wall collapsing. They heard everything collapsing around them, and they thought they were going to die. And as you can imagine, that can be very traumatic for a pair of young girls or young kids. The father said that around their house, used to the girls would never care about it much, but now every time it thunders, the girls are in their room. It don't matter what time of day or not, but they're in their room because they're real scared of bad weather. So I talked to a psychiatrist or nurse practitioner, psychiatrist, her name's Katie Lister, and she talked about things to do. Of course, she said this is PTSD is what it basically is. Kind of like when a soldier goes to war. They're on the battlefield and who knows what they deal with, what they see, what they experience. I can only imagine. So they come home and maybe they hear a car backfire or fireworks outside on the 4th of July and they have PTSD. Their brain goes back to something and it makes them nervous. Well, the same thing happens. A lot of times it's a traumatic event, a weather related, that creates storm anxiety. So Katie said the thing to do is education. She said to educate yourself as much as you can, to have a source that you trust, and to educate yourself and learn as much as you can about weather. That's why I do what I do here on my Facebook page. That's why I ramble on. That's why I take this opportunity. It's almost kind of like a little podcast. I talk a lot, but what I talk a lot is I'm trying to explain to you why the weather is or isn't going to be bad. And I know a lot of times I'm above your head, and I try not to be. But the explanation can help you with your storm anxiety, because if you can reason with it in your brain, then it gives you the opportunity to say, okay, well, that's what Ken was talking about when he was talking about why these storms really aren't going to be that bad. Or that's why, we're not expecting tornadoes tonight. Or, wow, today's weather could be pretty bad. And here's the reason why. So, I'm seeing this happen outside now, just like Ken said it would happen. So you educate yourself, and then you go to that source that you trust that's not going to try to scare you to death. But there are medications that you can take that can help you if that's not enough. Therapy. She said the number one thing you need to do if you have anxiety is you need to be in therapy. Medications kind of are a little band-aid, she says. They kind of help get you in the right mindset, but it's the counseling and the therapy that aid with the medication to help get you past these storm anxieties and get you past these anxiety. It helps you rationalize, and it helps you dissect your thoughts, and it helps you mentally prepare for these things. So counseling is something that you can do. Medications like anti-anxiety medicine, like Xanax, Valium. Of course, these are drugs that have to be prescribed by a doctor or by a licensed professional. You don't want to go get them on the streets. Those kinds of things. Some people, if you're in Oklahoma and you suffer from this kind of stuff, they do cannabis, edibles, gummies, whatever it is they do. And THC, the cannabis can help too. Cannabis, even without the THC in it, can help. And if you have a pet, and we didn't get to Sophie, unfortunately, but if you have a pet that suffers from this, then what you need to do with your pet is you need to kind of desensitize them to the weather. And my friend Ross Thompson said that the way you do that is by going outside and walking, taking your dog for a walk, and playing a thunderstorm on your phone. Start off kind of quiet with it, and then gradually increase it. So what the dog does, he starts associating something he loves with walking, with thunderstorms. So it helps desensitize. So desynthesize. I hope I said that right. That's a tongue twister. But if that doesn't work, your dogs, your animals need medications, because if that doesn't work, they can really hurt them. They can run away. They can tear up your house. They can destroy drywall. They can break out of windows. They will hide. You won't know where they're at until the weather's over. They'll tremble. They'll shake, and it can cause diarrhea. So, if the desensitization doesn't work, then there are medications, and it's the same thing for dogs they have for humans. Xanax, that kind of stuff, but it's just in a much lower dose. But, my advice is, and this came from Ross as well, is to just use Benadryl. Benadryl can also help ease anxiety too. And same goes for you at home. If Benadryl can, number one, it'll make you sleepy, and you might sleep through it. And then number two, it can also help calm you down some. Breathing exercises, those kinds of things are all, what the doctors recommend doing for this. So again, my number one thing that I like to do here is just education. You got these bozos out there, and we talk about them all the time, and I'm not going to get all into it, but those guys are out there trying to make money off of you, trying to make money off of your fear. They see the storm predictions. These people aren't forecasting themselves. They're forecasting what another person's saying, what the government's saying, what the National Weather Service says, or what the Storm Prediction Center says. And I'm not slamming those guys at all, because those guys are smart. They do a good job at what they do, but they have to err on the side of caution. They have to be, if they see certain parameters, even though it's borderline and it may not happen, they're going to go err on the side of caution and go with higher risk. And whenever these people out there that are making money off of you see that, they start posting these big scary words on YouTube and on Facebook and on Twitter and social media. And so it gets shared more and more. They make money off of it, and the rest is history. And then you wind up suffering from it because you're scared to death. And it'll happen at some point this spring, and you'll be scared to death of it. That's why on my page and at News Channel 6, I'm teaching my weather guys. Of course, we're about to lose Garrett, but we got some new people going to be coming in hopefully really soon. We just made a hire of a guy I'm really excited about over in Mississippi that will be here hopefully in mid-May. But I try to teach them, number one, be your own forecaster. Don't overhype weather. Only hype it when it needs to be. Those kinds of things. So we're here. My motto is, if I'm worried, you should be too. If I'm not, then don't worry about it. Be prepared, not scared. That is the motto. All right, so let's quickly show radar for you, and then we will. Then I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna post that video again. I'm embarrassed that it was staticky like that, and I'm almost 100% certain it's because of this old computer here. There weren't many questions on there, so there's not a whole lot of questions to answer. But now that we're showing radar here in just a moment, and give me just a minute, I'll pop it up here on my screen so you can see it too. But as we show the radar here, you'll be able to you'll be able to see what's going on out there. I'm not expecting a lot in the way of severe weather tonight. I do expect, well, let's take that ticker out. We don't need the ticker. That has not been updated, by the way. But I'm not expecting a lot in the way of severe weather tonight, so don't worry about that. But what we're looking at, and we've talked about this before, we have elevated thunderstorms. The reason why they're elevated is because the air at the Earth's surface is real stable. And this is what I mean by education too. The air at the Earth's surface is cool and stable outside. So what you get with these thunderstorms above the Earth's surface, where the air is a little bit warmer. So we're cool and stable here at the Earth's surface, but above the Earth's surface, there's warm, moist air streaming in from the south. So it's actually, if you were to take an elevator and go up to about 5,000 feet, you would see that it's warmer. You'd see an increase in temperature. So the thunderstorms are developing higher up in the atmosphere. The instability is suspended aloft. It's called elevated instability. So these thunderstorms form way up high in the atmosphere. They're called elevated thunderstorms. And what they do is produce some hail. They usually don't produce huge hail, but it can sometimes get up to the size of nickels or quarters. I've even seen it up to the size of golf balls before. But I don't see a lot in the way of usually gigantic hail with elevated thunderstorms. So what you're seeing with these thunderstorms would be just some periodic bouts of mostly small hail. But what they're mostly producing is heavy rain. We've seen that in Clay County and Monte County. It's been raining heavily over there today. Now, those thunderstorms continue in that same band, and as long as they continue in that same band, they're going to continue to produce heavy rain over some of the same areas that it could perhaps result in some flash flooding. One of the stronger storms on radar at this time is kind of coming out of Throckmorton County and headed at Alney. You can see that little cell where the little purple shows up. Could be a little hail, and you got some of that back towards Haskell. Now, if you look further to the north, you don't see the main band remains parked down that way, but there are thunderstorms that are trying to develop now north of there, and I do expect perhaps a gradual shift and at least some thunderstorm activity into the evening hours up closer to the Red River and later on tonight. So there will be pouts of periodic small hail, thunderstorms, and some downpours, which could result in some flash flooding in some areas. How about that rain last night? We saw some good rain last night. Now, this rain area should begin to shift out of here tomorrow. And I know it's been gloomy. And tomorrow, probably another cloudy, kind of cool day. But we'll probably see improvements on Friday. And the Saturday looks like a great day. And then a little bit cooler on Sunday. We start spring break a little on the cool side. And we'll see what happens. At least the weather pattern isn't looking as cold for spring break as it was this time last week. I was dreading. I'm off next week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And I was so upset. It's like, man, I'm off. It's going to be freezing cold outside. And I'm not going to be able to get outside and do anything. It's going to be too cold. Well, now it doesn't look quite as cold. A little cool at times, but it doesn't look quite as cold. Maybe a little rain at times too. All right, so we're going to look real fast, see if you have any questions, and then we are going to, I'm posting that here in just a minute. So you'll be able to go back and watch that on my page. Remember, we'll also have that on the 5th season, Friday night on News Channel 6 from 6 to 6:30. That too, I'm going to try to stream live on my page, just Facebook. I won't have that on YouTube, but I will stream that over on my Facebook page. Yeah, getting some really good rain, Ashley, in the Bowie area. It's been raining there a lot this afternoon. Thanks for the updates, Shrane. I don't know how to say your name there, but thanks for the updates and the education, Ken. I appreciate it. Storm anxiety is because of 79, and we have a lot of people here that have storm anxiety because of the 1979 tornado, and I can certainly understand why. You know, and Katie Lister also told me a lot of the anxiety that they see is from that big cold outbreak we had a couple of years ago. People lost electricity and didn't have a way to stay warm, so people are now scared of cold weather too. Whoever thought that? Whoever thought that living in Texas you'd be scared of cold weather? I can understand Amarillo, but down our way, we live in a time of weather extremes, and when it gets cold, a lot of times it gets really cold. There could be a little small hail in Jack County, but nothing major, Melinda. Megan, maybe I cannot pronounce your last name. I'm terrible at doing that. Says her dog safe spot is in the bathroom. They like small areas, like small closets, that kind of thing. That's what they like. So, all right. Well, be looking for that video. I'm about to drop off here and go home and fix a bite to eat. So I'm going to do that. Y'all watch Radar, and if I need to do any Facebook Live updates, I can do them from home. I won't be there, that long. But the weather we're having tonight really isn't very bad, so I'm not too worried about babysitting the radar. So I'm going to run home and get a bite to eat, although I'm not super hungry. So and be looking for that. I'm about to post it. All right. Well, thanks for joining me here. Sorry that things didn't go as planned. Hopefully next time it will. I'll try to work on this thing and get it better. Hopefully we'll get all the bugs worked out here soon. All right, everybody, have a great evening.